Hi, welcome to the very first episode of the Building You podcast. First and foremost, that intro episode that you listened to wasn't planned at all. Like, at all. It happened about 2 a.m. I was tired, frustrated, and I was just honestly emotionally exhausted. So, my phone had fallen into water earlier that day. My laptop had crashed days before this day, and my birthday plans were now looking very shaky. So everything just felt like, why is life doing me like this? So I pressed record on my voice notes actually because I needed to speak. And somewhere in the middle of all that frustration, I realized that this moment was actually teaching me something important. Now, it was teaching me something about things that I can control. It was teaching me things about regrets as well. And it was teaching me about starting anyway. So today we're talking about regrets, rest, and starting anywhere. Literally. So more context, my phone had fallen into water that day. We did the whole rice experiment, which by the way, who even told us rice works? But anyways, the phone was still glitching and eventually it went off completely. At the same time, my laptop had crashed. Multiple repair people had looked at it and nobody could tell me exactly what was wrong, which is a special kind of stress, honestly. And this is my birth month. My birthday is literally on the 12th of January. So I was now looking at my savings and just realizing that money meant for celebrating will now go into repairs. Well, it has gone into repairs because as I'm speaking to you currently, I have been able to fix the phone. However, the laptop. But anyways, I was just upset, like genuinely upset that day. And I couldn't even physically exert my anger. I was just weak. So I was just like emotionally tired. So I turned on my microphone and I started talking. And, while I was talking, it hit me that I did mention to few people that I actually wanted to start a podcast in January, but then when I came home, a lot of things happened and it was just looking like I was going to put a pause on it. Like I wasn't even going to talk about it anymore. Right. But here I was speaking. So I said, you know what? Let's edit this audio. Let's redesign the cover art. And we redesigned the cover art because initially this podcast was supposed to be called Everyday Stories with Esther. And now it's being called Building You Podcast, right? So the Everyday Stories with Esther was because I was bringing people from different spheres to talk about everyday stories. Part of why the podcast stalled a bit was because software tools that just seemed a lot. But I don't want you to get into the technical part of it. So I had to redesign the cover art because the name of the podcast changed, obviously. And then I hit post. And honestly, that's how we're here today. I realized first pilot episode was out. I now needed to have first episode. I was like, oh my God, you guys, this is why I know it's first post. But then the crazy thing, after I hit post that 2 a.m., I kind of had a feeling of regret. Now, it's not a regret that I did it, but a regret that I did not start it earlier. Before I continue, I really need to say thank you to my friends and my support system. The love, the encouragement, the random I'm proud of yous that I got, the people that listened immediately. Like people literally said, let me go and listen, let me go and listen. People shared it, people hyped it, people literally started liking my post from my Substack letters. For those that went on Substack, right? They started liking my Substack letters from the very first episode to the current one. I mean, you guys and people that were just like, this your voice is so therapeutic. Y'all are the real MVPs. I do not take it lightly at all. I genuinely do not play with my support system. So thank you for believing in me even when I'm still figuring things out in public. I do love you very deeply. Now, back to the gist. I started thinking, that why did it take broken devices and frustration for me to finally start something I wanted to do for months? This was literally the regrets, right? Because I was like, everything has happened for me to get here. I mean, I wish my phone didn't have to get into water. I wish my laptop, most especially my system, because that houses my whole work life. So I kind of wish it didn't have to happen because I was just like, did something dramatic really need to happen before I give myself permission to begin, right? And then another thing I'd like to point out is that I don't actually believe in regrets the way most people define it. For me, everything that happens in my life is an opportunity to learn. Every phase is teaching me something and every season is shaping it. And that's what I think, I believe, and that's what I translate to people. But for this one, I did regret a bit because I was like, all of this, I don't know if regrets is the word, but I did have a regret because I was like, oh, I could have started this earlier. And this isn't even about the phone and everything. I really could have started this earlier. But anyways, I have now learned something that I didn't know before. But here's something that I want to mention to you, right? In the why I would say that I don't actually believe in regret the way most people do it is because there are things you can't control and the things you cannot control. For instance, you can't control accidents, timing, people, unexpected delays, but you can control your response, your choices, and your next steps. For instance, I couldn't control my phone falling into water, but I could control how I reacted to it. For the people I mentioned it to, if you hear my voice, I was so calm and chilled, but then I was just like, because like what else was I going to do, right? Because I could control whether I stayed frustrated or I did something out of it. So for me, when we talk about regrets, I'm like, what did I learn from this? So I don't think I see regret the way people do, right? And I think that's what somebody needs to hear today. It's literally the beginning of the year. And I do know that some people already feel behind. Some people are rushing. Some people are resting. Some people are confused. And truth is that all of that is okay. Maybe this is your season of rest. Maybe this is another person's season of building quietly. And maybe it's another person's season of just having clarity, right? Don't beat yourself up for where you are, but rather ask yourself, what can I control right now? What small step can I take today? What am I learning this season? Because truth is, whether you are doing things or not, the year would keep moving. So you might as well do things with intention rather than pressure, right? Because truth is, starting late is still starting. I regretted that I didn't start this earlier, but I'm still starting, and here I am, literally. Resting is still progress, literally. Like if you find yourself in a place where you're just not moving as much, rest, that is still progress because you would come back better refreshed for the journey ahead. And then learning is never wasted. I literally just purchased 2 books. My God, I've reached where I'm purchasing books. Hey, I've reached where I've left just the Ocean PDF to purchasing. You know what? Learning is never wasted. And it's non-fiction. Guys, hold me. Big birthday is about to bang. Anyways, I digress. So that's what I wanted to leave with today, right? I don't think you should regret things. I don't think that you should ever think or see things as a place of regret. Yes, she missed the opportunity. Yes, she could have done this. Yes, she could have done that. But what did he teach you? It taught you that time is of essence. And so you can control how you react to that situation. And then what did you learn? What are you implementing? I think the only problem or the only thing you can regret is that you didn't implement what you learned. Because every season teaches you. So if you did not implement, that's when you regret. Because you had a lesson and then you didn't use that to your advantage, right? So thank you so much for listening to this first episode of Building You. Yeah, I'm trying my best to ensure that the episodes are not as long. So I hope I did well. And yes, guys, small win. Apple welcomed me to the fold, so you can listen to this both on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And I am honestly very excited about that. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please help rate the podcast on both Spotify or Apple. It genuinely helps more people find the show. Also, I don't know how commenting or leaving thoughts works here on the podcast, but I do know that you can share your thoughts with me on Substack, on X, by email, by Instagram. So all the links to these things would be in the body of this episode. So just check there and connect however feels easiest for you. I really want to hear what this episode stirred in you. I really want to hear what you think about me in this episode as well. And if you have any questions to share that I would likely have to answer. So if you don't want to be, you want to be anonymous, right? I think maybe I'll create like an anonymous link and also attach as well. So you could just ask me questions and I'll use that to get in the gist of the episode. So I don't know, I haven't mentioned and I feel like I need to mention. The Building You podcast is basically a podcast where I'm sharing things that have happened in my day-to-day life, also as well sharing things that I've heard happen to people. And the essence of all of that is to build you. Either to build you emotionally, build you financially, build you materially, build you to have a network of people you can just share your thoughts and your opinions and everything that you want with. So basically, as the name is, it is building you. You can't come here and just go back the same way. It is not something you just listen and you're like, oh, tick, done. You actually have to leave here with something. That's the end goal. So I always look forward to the thoughts that you share so that I know, okay, this episode didn't do it for you, but the next will, right? So I don't want to exceed my tie, which also looks like I'm kind of exceeding it. But until next time, insiders, I thought of having a community name. I know it's too early for that, but I think insiders makes it look okay. But let me know what you think, you right? So yes, do have an amazing day, have an amazing night, and just take care of yourself. Until next time. Bye.